accident, right? That's what I'm asking you. It's an accident. 100%.
We're fine. You don't need any of this.
The best part of Saturday night's main event was after the show went off the air, and it also simultaneously exposes Triple H as a hypocrite. You see that right there? That is CM Punk flipping the belt over his shoulder and hitting Cody in the face. Now, I did not see it at first. You blink, you missed it. But when the show was over, Cody Rhodes goes up to CM Punk.
We're just recording an interview.
I understand. You don't need any of this. I apologize. Please tell me that was an accident.
And says, hey man, did you do that on purpose?
You're out there, you literally cracked me in the eye with this title.
And it really breaks down
Enough.
I'm emotional.
You
Dude,
get
what is
emotional.
your problem?
What's my problem?
to a point where now you've got Cody and CM Punk shouting at each other.
I hate you.
Relax, bro. Come on.
It was an accident.
Okay,
I'm not complaining about it.
Hey, put him.
Honestly, I don't know why they don't do this stuff on TV. This was actually very interesting.
Run me over on like a.
Cody, go right. Relax.
That Cody Rhodes is the Cody Rhodes that I want to see on weekly TV, not this, what do you want to talk about, guy that just smiles as he walks in the building with a cup of coffee. No, that Cody Rhodes with a chip on his shoulder confronting CM Punk, saying, get the camera out of my face, and cussing at him, like, that's the Cody I want. In fact, that's even the CM Punk I want.
Dude, relax.
Just get out of here.
Go away.
I'm glad finally they're putting some tension and animosity in this feud, because it was sorely missing. Just because you got two baby faces doesn't mean they can't, like, you know, let the tensions boil to a boiling point. You know, let them duke it out. I don't need handshakes and hugs in my wrestling. Now, how does this prove that Triple H is a hypocrite, though? Well, you see, Triple H and even CM Punk most recently go out of their way to tell us the only thing that matters is the crowd in the building. And I do believe that the crowd is super important. But they will say over and over again, don't bother looking at social media. The people on social media, they're not real. Our opinions basically don't matter unless we bought a $13,000 ticket. But then they go and they do exclusive content that advances storylines only on social media. Like, legit, none of the butts in the seats saw that. So who was it for? The audience that doesn't matter, the people on social media that talk about things and share things. So yeah, Triple H is a hypocrite about that, but you know what? I don't care, because that was a good segment and it got me interested in CM Punk Cody Rhodes, because the build so far has sucked, and I'm glad now that the tensions are rising. I hope they don't get along at all. When The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, when they were both on the babyface side of things, even when their paths crossed, there was still an underlying tension between them. And something else I liked about this promo was there was an inclusion of Trick Williams in it. You might have missed it, but Trick Williams at one point is like, hey dog, calm down. But it wasn't Trick Willie. You know, it wasn't Whoop That Trick. This was Trick Williams, the human, and he was just kind of trying to push them away from each other. Now, Trick is more aligned on the babyface side of things, so it wasn't like totally out of character, but at the same time, normally the guy we see on SmackDown wouldn't stick his nose in this unless he felt he was going to get a crack at the title. So by Trick Williams just like kind of being in this segment, it just felt more real. It felt more raw, and I actually really liked this whatever it is, this off the air backstage segment. Like, we need to do that on TV. We need, like, for real. SmackDown, Raw, it's just not hitting like it used to. And if we saw more clips like that actually on the TV for everybody to see, not just the social media people who don't matter, I think the product would be better as a whole. And speaking of Trick Williams, he is your U.S. champion, and if you want to be a U.S. champion, you can. You see, I'm giving away this belt on my shoulder at 30,000 subscribers. I'm giving it away. How do you win it? All you got to do is comment below and subscribe to the channel. I'm being for real here. I will give it away, free shipping, free of charge, anywhere in the world. It's not a toy, people. It's a replica and it hurts. Ow, I always forget. The belt is pointy and it actually hurts. All right, let's do some more hot takes. Mr. Pete says it's time to fire Nick Aldis as a GM and hire him as a wrestler. Yeah, I agree. You know what's crazy? I mentioned this on the One Take One Shot yesterday, but out of the 5 people involved in the main event, we got Cody Rhodes, you got CM Punk, you got Gunther, and you got Sami Zayn. And Nick Aldis. Guess who's the youngest of the 5? Nick Aldis, the guy who's been GM for like the last 3 or 4 years. Kid Wilkes says the WWE is out here making the NBA look fake. Haha, the NBA makes the NBA look fake. Eric Shook says, I really like Lyra and was on the fence with her new look, but boy howdy, did she prove me wrong? Hope she gets put in a good program with someone soon. The new theme is solid too. Her music, I liked it. I liked it a lot, but during the match, she got a bloody nose, maybe even a broken nose, but the match continued. Yeah, it was a little touch and go for a second, understandably, because, you know, blood is gushing out of her nose, and eventually they get it to calm down, but it keeps getting aggravated throughout the match, but she won't stop. Her and Bayley put on a good match, but the blood made it into edge of your seat. You were always wondering, can they continue? Will they stop the match because of a real life thing that is happening? I am so happy for Lyra. I have not been really a Lyra fan. Didn't hate her, but didn't like her. The worst thing you could have for a wrestler was apathy, and I had that for her. But after last night, I became a fan, a believer in Lyra, because boy, howdy is right. She was a warrior last night in the way that she continued on, pressed on, and then she has an after match beatdown of Bayley. She included the broken nose or whatever it was. She's like, look what she did to me. Look what she deserved that. She deserved that. I am telling you, they better do something with Lyra. They cannot keep her off TV for 2 weeks. Because Triple H has this mindset of, the crowd wants more. Let's pull back a little, and by giving them less, they'll want it more. No, Triple H, less is less sometimes. We need to be seeing Lyra Valkyria on Raw. Trade her to SmackDown so she can win the interim championship right now, because that was a star-making performance. You don't take her off TV after that. She needs a feud right this second. If Bayley is out injured for a little bit, give her something right now, because if we cool her off, it's done. If we don't capitalize on what happened last night with Lyra, then legit in 1 month, we'll forget about it. That's just the way of things are nowadays. In this TikTok generation, it's like you have 30 seconds to capitalize on something. All right, so please give Lyra something. If you don't have anything for Lyra right now, then everybody needs for the next 24 hours to have an emergency writers meeting, and they need to come up with something. All right, do it now. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind if Becky Lynch showed up and took Lyra under her wing, where Becky Lynch is just like, see, I told you, Lyra. I told you, Lyra, Looney Lydra. And Lyra was like, yeah, you were right, Becky. You were right. Could you imagine those two? Those two, Becky Lynch and all her gaslighting, and crazy Lyra looking to Becky as her new hero. There's something at least. Give us something with Lyra immediately. TTJC says that crowd was lit. I'm definitely going to try and catch more events out here. Okay, so TTJC went to actually the event last night, and I envy you. I've seen some people just absolutely hate Saturday Night's Main Event, and some people that usually are pretty positive, and I was a little surprised actually, but you know what? We're all allowed to have our own opinions. I personally liked it last night, and I envy you for being a part of that show, because it was lit in my opinion. Tiz Mickey says, words cannot express how deeply I hate all this celebrity involvement. I care nothing about Tyrese Halliburton or Jalen Brunson. They did not need to be involved in this. So I am not a basketball fan either. In fact, I don't really watch any sports. Every once in a while I'll catch a UFC and or boxing match, but for the most part, I only watch real sports like WWE. And honestly, I didn't mind the celebrity involvement last night if it's exclusive to last night. if this continues forward and suddenly Jalen Bronson and Halliburton are going to be in the corners of Seth and Roman, then yes, that's dog vomit right there. I do not want that at all. Let us learn from Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. We don't need to do things just to do things, all right? Last night, I think it was okay because it was kind of the celebration of what Danhausen did over the summer, where Danhausen was pretty much the Knicks MVP, mascot, if you will. You know, uncursing and then uncursing the Knicks. They went on a 13-game winning streak. It was like lots of national exposure, and that's why I'm okay with it last night and last night only. But I do understand why a lot of people just not only didn't like it, but absolutely hated it, and that's because we still have the bad taste of Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee. There was no reason for those two to be involved with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. And you could say the same thing here, and yes, I do get it, but at least they played within their characters. Roman Reigns acknowledging the person that, you know, is the top dog of the NBA, you know, game recognizes game. Seth Rollins using Halliburton to distract so he could come in and attack because he's such a mastermind. He knew that would get Roman's attention. Jalen Bronson, he didn't actually attack Seth Rollins. He just got in his way and caused a distraction. It was very unnecessary. If they needed to do it, if they had done that segment at the beginning of the show, because after the tag team match of Cody, Punk, and Gunther and Sammy, that was such a good match. That was a great ending to Saturday night's main event. But then when we kept going with a simple acknowledgement ceremony, yeah, if we had done it in the beginning, I think things would have been way, way better. And I don't think there would have been that much backlash. But at the same time, I think a lot of it just revolves around Jelly Roll Pat McAfee. Seriously, if they wouldn't have ruined the night one main event, I don't think people would have cared as much. I think more people would have just been like, yeah, whatever, that kind of sucked, but I'm over it. But now it's like, that ruined Saturday night's main event for some people. And I'd say it ruined it for you, Mickey. You just said, I don't care about any celebrity involvement. And I don't care either. Like, if that wouldn't have happened yesterday, it would have affected nothing in my hype level of Seth and Roman. Jimbo Slice didn't like it either, and he said, I feel like the basketball players are going to get involved in SummerSlam. Yeah, please don't do that, all right? When I said I was okay with last night's segment, it's exclusive to last night. Any more involvement, then no, please no. Carmichael says the Danhausen stuff with Judgment Day is good. The Danhausen stuff with The Miz and Kit is not good. Danhausen on Raw with Judgment Day, that brings you right to the line of cringe, but doesn't cross it. SmackDown with Kit Wilson and Miz, they crossed that line a while ago when The Miz got electrocuted. I hate that The Miz and Kit Wilson are basically zombie characters because they got electrocuted by Danhausen on SmackDown. Absolutely hate it. That is cringe. That's embarrassing TV. Thankfully, what we got last night was the Raw stuff of Danhausen, because on Raw, Danhausen's good. There's a fine line, and the Miz and Kit Wilson stuff, it's just not good. AB Wrestling Thing says, Cody and Punk make an incredible tag team. They were selfless enough to work together and not make it all about themselves. Yeah, you know what? They were actually a pretty decent tag team. I like the whole tag team match in general. That tag team match last night was fantastic. Now, I wonder if we are going to get a Cody Rhodes CM Punk tag team, because on SmackDown, Punk did eyeball Damian Priest's tag team title. And back in the day, whenever there was a babyface versus babyface main event at a big PLE, usually those two babyfaces actually would win the tag team titles. Six Underground says, Sammy and Gunther should have won. Triple H books face champions the same way he booked himself when he was in the Reign of Terror. There's an air of hopelessness and desperation around the title scene, and it's sad to see. Yeah, you know, it's so weird. Triple H will book the baby faces to do very much heel things. They saw last night that Gunther was cheated from Nick Aldis, the GM. The GM helped the baby faces by interfering The babyface see Nick Aldis hit Gunther with the belt, and they just take it. They just take it. Sami Zayn didn't say anything wrong when he said, I've clawed my way to the top just so CM Punk can return after months of being off to surprise me in a match that I wasn't really prepared for. I held the title for 9 days. Why do I have to defend it before SummerSlam? And if you look at that logic within kayfabe, look at Liv Morgan's title reign. How come she doesn't have to defend the title since WrestleMania, but Sammy has to do it within 9 days of winning it after 10 years of fighting for it? So, like, the babyfaces are constantly doing heel things, and it's just overlooked. I don't know why Triple H just doesn't book heel champions and heel GMs, because then you don't have to like scratch your head when the baby faces are doing bad and horrible things. WrestleDon says, my girlfriend who doesn't watch wrestling unless she's with me asked me during the show why Liv Morgan and Io Sky are wrestling again, because didn't they just wrestle? I thought that was very telling coming from an outsider, because that's what the internet has been calling WWE out for. So there you go, WWE. There's a casual fan who's not a fangirl saying the same things as us fanboys are saying. It's just not logical no matter where on the spectrum of fandom you are. He also says, why does Nick Aldis, a babyface GM, get to cheat for the top babyface Cody in every program he's in? And someone does reply, Errol Noir says, well, Nick is a man. He can't let Gunther off with that assault. I do agree with that. Nick Aldis needed to stand up for himself because of the assault that Gunther did. That said, everything prior to this affects how we see the fact that Cody Rhodes once again got help from an authority figure. Oh, you got eliminated from the Royal Rumble? Well, you can face Drew next week. Nick Aldis has constantly done this. Money on Repeat says the third wheel in Fatal Influence will be a star if they can find a way to get me to remember her name, but she's a future star. JC Jane. I bet you would remember her name right now if they would have continued her push when she got to the main roster, because they pushed her strong for 3 weeks and then they did nothing with her. If they would have kept pushing her, you would probably be remembering that name. STR Game Take says, although I'm fine with tonight, I'm left wondering, where was Roman's bloodline again? Yeah, where was Roman's bloodline again? Just have a quick phone call or something. You're absolutely, where were they? Charles Yancey says, wow, how dumb. The tag team title should have went to Becky and Lyra. Oh, hey, look at that. We both agree on that one. Or back on Nia and Lash. I kind of wish those two would separate, actually. And then not stupid Fatal Influence. Now, we disagree there. I do actually like Fatal Influence. However, I kind of low-key really like B-Fab and Michin. What if we gave those two a title run? McDaniel says, not enough blood in this PLE. That's funny, because 50% of the matches had blood. Actually, 75%. Even CM Punk started bleeding a little, but it was more of a flesh wound. Andre Bryant says, hearing Roman's promo again, he isn't a good showman. He lacks crossover appeal. He's more of an Undertaker, Bret Hart, HBK type guy who is valued in the wrestling bubble. WWE needs a new Cena, Rock, Stone Cold, Hogan for moments like Saturday Night's Main Event if they're going to involve famous people outside of wrestling. Yeah, you know what? I think you have a point here. Roman Reigns, like, his strength is in front of a wrestling crowd. He knows the audience. He can play them like a fiddle. His strength is on social media. You can take a Roman promo and make it into a meme. Like, so many memes comes out of a Roman promo. But to put him as the guy, the liaison to the quote-unquote rest of the world, yeah, his promos aren't. I guess that's when he is a little lacking there. I'm surprised they didn't just wheel out John Cena. He was already in town for the Fan Fest. I'm shocked that John Cena just wasn't the guy to do it. Roman Reigns Acknowledge Me says, this is Bayley being written off? ? I hope not, but I think so. I'm thinking so too. I could definitely see Bayley being asked to take a TKO pay cut. This is her final year anyways. Write her off TV, and then we see her at Wrestle Dream with Mercedes Moné. All right, boys. All right, girls. Those are your hot takes. See ya, bye.